Welcome everyone to today's webinar, and thanks for taking time out of your busy day to spend some time with us. We're up to part 18 of Transparency is the New Green in Product Selection and Specification, our webinar series featuring manufacturers investing in product transparency. And we're really excited to have not only Nicole and Brett from Mohawk and Knauf, but with Ren from the International Living Future Institute to talk about the programs Declare and Living Product Challenge that are really leading the way in material ingredient disclosure. This webinar series is kind of the opposite of a CEU presentation because we've invited manufacturers to talk all about their company and their products so that you can learn about who they are, their company ethos, the transparency journeys that they've been on, the strategies and innovations that they've developed along the way, so that you can make your own assessment about companies that you like to do business with, brands you prefer, and ultimately to be able to select and specify actually higher performing products to help improve the built environment that we're all working on improving. So here at Sustainable Minds, we do believe that product transparency builds incredibly greener brands, but not just by producing disclosures. We believe that the value for manufacturers to provide environmental information about their products comes from demonstrating that they understand what it means and they know what they're doing and they're actually doing something with it. So, gone are the days of checking a box, oh, they have an EPD, they have material ingredient disclosure. There's enough transparency happening in the world today that we're at a point where metrics and reporting those metrics really do matter so that people can pick actually higher performing products. And those brands who have been paying attention, internalizing the results of their technical disclosures, driving it back into product development, and making it part of their brand stories are the ones that we are all pretty excited about doing business with because we know what they're talking about is true, and truth builds trust, and trust builds preference and value for their companies. So with that, as I mentioned, our guests today are from ILFI, Knauf, and Mohawk Group, and each presenter will introduce themselves. I'm Terry Swack, the founder and CEO of Sustainable Minds. And for those of you who are new to Sustainable Minds on the webinar today, thank you for coming. And a little bit about the company. We're a B2B provider of environmental product transparency, cloud applications and services. I founded the company in 2007, and our mission has never changed. Our mission is to operationalize environmental performance and material health into mainstream manufacturing to drive revenue and growth through greener product innovation. And on our team, we've got deep expertise in technical programs, life cycle assessment, material ingredients, deep expertise in customer experience and information design, and building cloud software, which is bringing all those expertise together. We're able to deliver the tools, and today we're going to be looking at the transparency catalog. So we are the only end-to-end product transparency solutions provider in the market today. We are an EPD program operator. Like I said, we deliver LCA and material evaluation services, which is pretty important if we're going to be building technical software tools to make that information more understandable and useful. Then we need ourselves to be technical experts in the field that we're working in. And these are all designed to seamlessly integrate product transparency into product marketing to build credibility and preference for brands. So the real important takeaway from my introduction to our guest today is that product transparency has, in the last decade, moved from a little idea to now a specification requirement. And environmental performance and material health, the two attributes of transparency, are new performance attributes. And they are now part of the definition of high performance. People are making decisions, comparative decisions, based on these two performance criteria that sit alongside the traditional ones, like functional performance, safety, cost, and now environmental performance and material health, which is why it's pretty crucial that manufacturers and the people that represent the manufacturers can talk just as fluidly and knowledgeably about those two performance attributes as they've always had to speak about the others. Again, actual performance matters, and you can't manage what you don't measure. So the Transparency Catalog was designed and launched in 2016 specifically to revolutionize green building product selection and specification for the purposes of manufacturers being able to grow their revenue and brand value by making higher performing and healthier products. And the way that we're working on revolutionizing this industry is by radically simplifying the delivery of this information. And you're going to see we actually have a new little release we're introducing today. We'll show that at the end. But for manufacturers, now is the time really to be not only continuing to invest in product transparency, but to really invest in making it part of your brand story and making it part of how you compete on performance attributes. And the only way to do that is to really invest in making your transparency investments pay off. And we're going to talk more about doing that as well today. I'm going to turn it over to Ren. So Ren, take it away.
Heck yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Ren Cherney, and I am with the International Living Future Institute. I'm going to be talking about the Declare and Living Product Challenge labels and certifications. Quick background on myself. I used to be an interior designer, so I know how they think, and I know how they select products because I used to be one of those people. So my job is to grow the Declare and Living Product Challenge labels and increase awareness in both ends of the marketplace, both the manufacturers and designers. So let me see if I can make this work. Vamping for time, it's all good here. I'm trying to advance the slides, and there we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so the ILFI, International Living Future Institute mission is to catalyze the transformation towards communities that are socially just, culturally rich, and ecologically restorative. So that's a bit of a mouthful. What does that mean? It means, if my slide will advance, we're seeing this happen in real time, you guys. So sorry. All right, it means that, oh, I went too far now. I'm so sorry, you guys, I'm off my game. Okay, so basically we're trying to envision what does it mean to make something good instead of something that is less bad. What does it mean in our future to make things that are good? And so we have a lot of different programs that exist in this making a beautiful future, including the Living Building Challenge, the Living Community Challenge, the Living Product Challenge, and within those challenges, we have many certifications. So of course, today I'm going to be talking about the Living Product Challenge and Declare, but just know that that's one of just the plethora of things that we do at ILFI in our global network of folks who are trying to create this, this living future. So in order to build a healthy and sustainable future, we believe you need to start with building healthy buildings. It's really foundational. We are learning that as now more than ever, we spend 90% of our time inside, and we are learning that our built environment is really having an effect on our bodies. And so there was a study done of children's blood, and it found that children have mercury, lead, pesticides, plasticizers in their blood at these levels, which seem like very small numbers. But if you consider that Ritalin, which is something we use to adjust our own behavior, and children's behavior is effective at 15 parts per billion, it starts to get a little concerning about what's happening in our kids' bodies. And what does that mean? And how is it affecting us? It really is also part of this statement that AIA came out with in 2018, that there are recent lawsuits and regulatory citations that have pinned responsibility on design professionals and building owners for knowingly or unknowingly putting these types of products in buildings that may lead to cancer or crippling illnesses, or just more stuff showing up in little kids' bodies and our own bodies. So what does that mean? At ILFI, we really go for a hazard versus risk approach. And the difference is we evaluate the effects of chemicals on the folks who make a product, not just the end user. So we're looking at all the hazards of a product, not just who is using it at the end of its life. Because what we're finding, especially in this study that for children that shows us, is that it's really our entire environment that is affecting our bodies. It's not just our homes, it's not just our offices, it's what's around us all the time. And that is getting into our bodies, we are passing it on to our children. So we need to evaluate the hazard of a product or a chemical from the very conception of that product, to make sure that it doesn't harm everyone down the line, right? So the Declare label is a nutrition label for products. It looks like this. It helps designers and consumers understand what's in a product, where it's made, and what you can do with it at the end of its life cycle. So can you recycle it? Can you send it to the landfill? Is it compostable? It tells a designer or consumer that. It also tells a designer if there are any red list ingredients in this product. So it helps them make a better choice. And so you can have a declared product, which just says, here are all the things in my product. You can have an LBC compliant product, which means you've maybe kept some proprietary information back that you don't want to reveal your secret sauce. Or you can, maybe you have a product that has a red list ingredient, but there's no other alternative quite yet, so we've made an exemption for you. And then living LBC red list free is the highest declare status that you can get, which means you have no toxic chemicals from our red list in your product. And really, the declare label is designed to be easy to understand. We used to be designers, so of course we think it's very beautiful, and it helps designers understand what is in a product, but also how to make a better choice for their clients. So it helps them understand that. So what is the red list? Kids these days always asking about this red list thing. So the red list is the list of worst in class chemicals that ILFI developed. These are chemicals that pollute the environment. They accumulate in the environment and in our bodies, as we're seeing with that study about the little kids. And they also harm construction and factory workers. So they have a negative effect on the people who make them and the people who construct with them. So a red list free product, a declare red list free product, has none of these chemicals. So that's pretty great. So the declare label has been in existence since 2012, and it's really taken off. And there are more and more labels every day, every year. But it really got us thinking: what does the future look like? What does the future hold? Now that we are sort of being transparent about what's in a product, what's next? What does that good look like? And so maybe instead of creating products that deplete resources and create waste, what does a good product look like? What does a product look like that is built to build a better place? And so that is what brought us to the Living Product Challenge. And so the Living Product Challenge is really a framework to create products that do good and are better for the world. So it combines material health, so declare label, with life cycle assessment. So it's sort of like a declare label and an EPD sort of mushed together. So we combine the two things. So it tells designers a lot. I will note also, manufacturers, if you have a declare label, if you have an EPD, or you've done a life cycle assessment, you are already on the way to getting a Living Product Challenge label. So definitely shoot me an email afterwards if you'd like to continue, because you are on your path. So that is fantastic. So we at ILFI, we separate things into petals. This comes from the Living Building Challenge, where we think of a flower has many little parts, and together it makes a really beautiful whole. And so we break everything into categories that we call petals. And so the Living Product Challenge has a place, water, energy, health and happiness, materials, equity, and beauty petal that must be met in order to get a Living Product Challenge. So there are a couple levels of certifications. The imperative certification means that all 7 butterflies are met, 7 imperatives. So if you're looking, those are all the blue with the little butterflies. A petal certification means that you have met all 7 imperatives plus 3 full petals, so water, energy, or materials. And then the full certification means you have met all 20 imperatives and you are crushing it. And you've created a truly regenerative product. So that's amazing. So the Living Product Challenge, like I said, it looks like the Declare label, but kicked up a notch, as Emerald would say. And so it tells the designer or consumer, again, similar to the Declare label, the material transparency information, what's in it, the facility locations, where it was made, what you do with it at the end of its life. But it also tells the consumer the carbon footprint of making this product, the energy emissions that were generated in making the product, the water that was consumed, and how much waste was created. So a designer and a consumer can really understand not just what's in a product, but how it's made. So they can really optimize their choices. Are they picking a product that has any toxic chemicals? Are they picking a low carbon product? Are they picking a product and supporting a manufacturer who is really walking the walk, which is what I see designers asking for, not just who is transparent, but who is treating their environment and their people well. That's what they really want to know. So that's what the Living Product Challenge does. It also has something called hand printing, which is a way to embrace the positive change that manufacturers are making in their communities. So if you think of footprint as something negative that you leave behind, that you try to mitigate, a handprint is a positive impact that you're having that is measurable, that we can include in the label. So we measure the ways that you're having good in the world. Maybe you have renewable energy. Maybe you have community involvement that you're doing. Maybe you're working with small minority women-owned businesses. Fabulous. We want to tell consumers what it is that you're doing that's great, and really highlight that, which comes from a need from designers. So this is a quick selection of the various types of living product challenges that there are, and we're going to hear from Mohawk later. I just want to end with why this matters. And I will say that The Economist, their climate report came out in September of this year, and they said it pretty plainly. Companies that fail to tackle climate change will face a backlash. And that's a period, end of sentence from The Economist. And I will also say that they noted that consumers and customers, especially younger ones, are calling for tougher and faster action on climate change. So it's really a market demand is there. It is coming from your future clients. It is coming from that future brand equity that you want to build. They also said that decarbonizing the economy has many risks, but it also has a lot of opportunity. So manufacturers that get ahead of their rivals and seize this opportunity will reap the biggest benefits. So basically your consumers are asking for it. And if you get on the train now, you will see a lot of benefit in being transparent and really showing that you're walking the walk. So let's begin. I always say designers start asking and asking for these products with material transparency and living product challenge labels. Start specifying them, and manufacturers I always end with get transparent and get specified, because that's what it means at the end of the day. So that is all I have for you today. That's my email. Always feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to say hello. So that's what I got. Thanks, Terry.
Ren, that was great. That was a lot of information in a very concise presentation. And what I particularly liked is that you pointed out, if you're a manufacturer and you already have invested in an LCA or an EPD or a Declare label, you're well on your way to taking on the Living Product Challenge, which really is a fantastic holistic view, not just at the product, but the social equity piece of the company as well. And if we have time at the end, I think Ren would like to share a little bit about the LPC challenge that really she's excited about. So, we're going to move on and hear from Brett. And I didn't say this at the beginning, but the reason that Ren and Knauf and Mohawk are part of this webinar is that in the new release of the Transparency Catalog version 3, in September, we had completed our integration of the Declare API. So now we have in the transparency catalog every Declare label, every living product challenge certification, all the manufacturers, all their products. And both Knauf and Mohawk have been big investors in both of those technical programs. And again, I'll show you at the end how we've made it super easy to find their products and the other manufacturers who have also invested in these programs. So, Brett, let's hear about Knauf.
Oh, Brett, we can't hear you.
How about now?
Now is good.
All right. So as I was saying, thanks Terry, and thanks to Ren for that presentation from ILFI and for ILFI really pushing all of us forward, both on the manufacturer and the design communities. And thanks to everyone that's joined us today. So taking a little bit of time to talk about kind of some of the aspects of what Knauf Insulation has been pursuing in regards to sustainability, but more importantly for this discussion towards product transparency. And but I thought I would start just a little bit about me. So I'm Brett Welch, Director of Sustainability for Knauf Insulation here in North America. Been with the company for about 10 years now in a variety of different roles. And the role is interesting. It's probably similar to a lot of other roles at other companies, but I get to work with all different aspects of the business. So working on kind of people, community safety issues with our HR team, or working on packaging or procurement, raw materials issues with our procurement team. Having the opportunity to advocate on behalf of better buildings or recycling initiatives is just kind of all different facets of the role and how it relates to sustainability that I really appreciate having the opportunity to be a part of. So a little bit about me. I thought I would dig way back into my career history, which started right out of college working for a small natural builder out in New Mexico. And as we're talking about materials and having this recognition that materials matter, this goes all the way back to the core for me. So you can imagine that these are the types of houses that you would expect to see across the desert Southwest, adobe, etc. But I really want to focus on a couple of these detailed shots, which are the actual materials. So this picture on the left is different junctions of wood coming together, but that wood deck there was site harvested timber that we actually milled with a little portable sawmill right there on the site, and the timber beams coming across in the rafters were salvaged out of another project, and that post was a beetle kill pine that we took down again on the site, and I believe I hand scraped that one before we put it up. And then this project on the right, this is a natural clay plaster that's made from straw, or excuse me, from clay and straw and sand. The sand and clay, which were again harvested right on the site of this project. And so for me, this idea of where our materials that we're using in our buildings come from has always been very important. These are not common building practices, at least anymore. Obviously, they used to be. This used to be the way that humans built, but these are really hard things to scale. And so, when I started thinking about my career and like how are we going to have the biggest impact on issues like global climate change, you look for places where you can potentially have that impact. And so I had the opportunity to come to work for the Knauf Group, which has inherent scale. So you can see here, I don't need to necessarily cover all these statistics, but Knauf is a very large building material manufacturer, and owns has responsibility for some other brands that you're probably familiar with. Besides Knauf Gypsum, there's also USG, Boral, Armstrong Ceilings in Europe, as well as several other brands. But they had that type of scale. And one thing I like to mention right here, it's easy to lose, I think, in this idea of scale, is that you just another company pushing a product. But the thing I like to highlight is, combining these personal kind of anecdotes with the type of companies that have a particular type of focus. We're just one more player trying to deliver on this goal of better buildings, and we're doing it with the materials that we are directly responsible for. One of the advantages that we have is that we're a privately held company, and so the Knaufs, third generation Knaufs, are still involved in running the day-to-day business. And I think that provides a different incentive when your name is on the product itself. I think that gives you a little bit different perspective of how you approach the products that you manufacture and offer to the marketplace. And so in North America, here's all the locations where we're represented. So we have 6 manufacturing facilities in 5 states. And we're the second largest fiberglass insulation manufacturer in North America. And I joke we're another one of these kind of big little companies that most people have never heard of. But we manufacture a range of products. The ones that you're most familiar with, probably building insulation, bats, loose fill, or rolls that you see in your big box retailer store. Maybe put some in your attic. But also manufacture a wide range of air handling, duct insulations, industrial pipe insulations, and then all kinds of pretty neat niche products. So acoustical acoustical applications, things that go into your automobiles for sound dampening and for heat protection, products that go into your appliances, and even some filtration devices that use a fiberglass media as a filtering media. So all kinds of areas where it shows up, a lot of them that we don't even think about. And so just at a high level, so I want to talk about some of the sustainable benefits of insulation. So insulation is most often associated with energy efficiency, and for a very good reason. But which is what we've been talking about for the last number of years, and is now energy efficiency is now we kind of refer to as operational carbon. But the shift to really discussing embodied carbon is still kind of naturally in the wheelhouse of insulation products. And so this is a study. I know this slide's kind of an eye chart, and I apologize for that, but I think the thing I want everyone to key in on is the leftmost section of the chart. So a study from McKinsey a few years back that in their assessment of all of the kind of ways that we could pursue carbon abatement to address climate change, they found that building insulation was the most cost-effective means that we could do that. So if we can make our buildings more energy efficient, we can have a huge impact. And you can see not only is it the most impactful from an abatement perspective, but it's also the one that gives you the bigger payback. So all those that are kind of on the left below the line pay for themselves. And so insulation is just a natural extension of our kind of pursuit to combat climate change. And I would continue, it's not on this slide, but there's some work done by the Carbon Smart materials palette. I think it's a part of Architecture 2030 that recognizes that fiberglass is also of the most commonly available insulation products has the lowest embodied carbon kind of as a category versus some of the other different types of insulation. So it's a you know, sometimes talked about or thought about as a dated technology, but it's potentially one of the best kind of tools in our tool belt as we think about how we're going to, you know, make these charges against climate change and potentially reverse some of the impacts. So here's more specifically to the Knauf insulation sustainability journey. So we've been at it for a while as well. So we got our first Green Guard certified product, which is the first in the insulation category, all the way back in 2002. So it's something that, you know, we have been kind of recognizing, had some recognition of, and started charting a path forward, you know, several years back. A couple of these, you know, I want to point out our bio-based formaldehyde-free binder technology in 2008. You know, one of the benefits of these programs like Declare and Red List Free for us was that we were a little bit ahead of the curve on these from a product perspective, and we're almost waiting for some of the programs to kind of come along and catch up and help give us the way by which to even market these products. You can see the next one on there, post-consumer recycled content greater than 60%. You know, that's an easy thing to just say, as if it can just happen. You just have to get the batch and throw it in there. But you know, starting back in the early 90s, we had 0 recycled content in our products. So everything was made from virgin raw materials, and it's been a 30-year journey to push the theoretical limits of inclusion of recycled materials into our batch. And so we've been able to really push the boundaries of what back then we even thought was possible. And that just comes with years and years of dedication and iteration and a lot of research and development. And so all these things here, you know, they fill up the slide. They're very nice things to point out in one line. But I'm always, when I think about these, I'm always amazed at the amount of work and dedication and the people that it took to make any one of those actually happen. And then I'll call attention to the last one there in 2017. How do we actually start to then, you know, communicate this stuff more readily to the marketplace? And that date marks our partnership with Sustainable Minds and getting some of this information in the design community's hands through way of the transparency catalog. And so I think Terry will talk about that a little bit more in a bit. And so specifically to that topic, to product transparency, we've got several products. I've got some of them listed here that are Red List free or Red List approved. And so some of these are the common things that folks are kind of think of when they think of insulation. So again, bad insulation or loose fill insulation. But I always want to point out, like, if you look at the breadth of Knauf Insulation's insulation portfolio, we have all the aspects in place. We have all the products in place for you to deliver a completely formaldehyde-free and Red List free or Red List approved insulation package for the entire building. So pipe insulation, insulation board, duct liner, duct wrap, so that you don't have to, as an architectural designer, say, well, I'm going to do the building envelope and the build out, but like the engineering piece, I'm going to leave to the mechanical designers, and like we have the whole suite available for the two big groups to still deliver on your design goals, so that you're not having to make you know, product sacrifices or sacrifices to your overall design intent with any given project. And I'll note that you know, so we have 14 products in all. There's examples, bigger companies that have a lot more products, but when you look at like our overall production, those 14 products represent, over 90% of what we make in North America. So when we think about the impact of these programs, that has had a significant impact on our business. Over 90% of what we make is represented by Red List free or Red List approved products. And so here's a couple of examples of some recent projects. Loma Linda Children's Hospital. This was a project that was pursuing a LEED status and was trying to figure out how, particularly in that mechanical room, with the ductwork, with IB, with pipe insulation, they could continue to use formaldehyde-free products and not have to make those compromises from the rest of the building into their mechanical room. And so we were able to help them out with those products. And then separately, this humpback stuff, Hawaii, I meant to follow up with Ren and ask her, but I believe this project was pursuing an LBC. I'm not sure if they made it or not, but I believe they were pursuing a living building challenge. And so for this one, these were acoustical products. So you see that sphere in this picture here. That's a big dome where they do a lot of presentations and have things, have nice displays in there. But the acoustical treatments to the entirety of the inside of that sphere, they were only able to accomplish with the products that we have to offer for those acoustical applications. So that was black acoustical board and insulation board. Terry, I've seemed to have lost control. Here we go. And so, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, these things aren't easy. So we have existing kind of ongoing challenges as well. So the thing now is the majority of our base products, as I mentioned, are certified either Red List free or approved. And so now it's things like facings that are most difficult for us. So we source these facings, and they don't always meet the same strict criteria. So we've been working with some of our vendors on providing those. We also have a similar kind of problem to other manufacturers of the trade-off between disclosure and the protection of IP. So we want to deliver these Red List free products, but so while delivering them, the idea of telling everybody exactly how you did it is a balancing act for any manufacturer, and so we're no different in that manner. And so that's a kind of an ongoing debate is the best way to do that. There's obviously several competing programs, and then one of the difficulties is specifying a first of market product. So some of these products that I've discussed, the duct and mechanical insulation specifically, we have a hard time on some projects that there's no equivalent, and so the market's demanded these types of products, but fail to be able to specify or give basis of design for these products because there aren't two others that they can also include in the spec. And this kind of chicken and egg of we want these products, we want them in these jobs, but if there aren't three of them, what do we do? And so that's an ongoing battle, both for design community and for us as manufacturers. How do we figure out how to make this worth everybody's while we're delivering these to the market? And then just to finish up, there's a quote here that you can read. This is from Daniel Everby, he's the Director of Sustainability for a local firm here in Indianapolis. But I think it really speaks to the partnership aspects of this whole process, and I'd like to kind of close with that. Is that this is a bit of a journey. We're all learning. We're all trying to make improvements, and at the end of the day, I think we're all trying to do our best to deliver better buildings and better products. And one of the ways that we've done that is with partnership with Sustainable Minds to help make that information more readily available to this community. So glad to be with everyone today. Appreciate your time and attention, and happy to take any questions or follow up later after this presentation. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Brett. Knauf really has been on a very long journey and in a very competitive market. So let me introduce Nicole to talk about Mohawk Group, also has been on a very long journey in a very competitive market. So Nicole, take it away.
All right, thanks Terry, and thanks Brett and Ren. I'll try to get through my slides as best we can, so Terry, you can close this out. Let's see. Let's start a little introduction about me. I graduated from the Ohio State University with a degree in sustainability and business, kind of an innovative program that fits perfectly into the role that I'm here today. So I previously worked at TRC Solutions as its construction engineering consulting company. I now work for Mohawk as a sustainability coordinator for a little over a year and a half now. I'm one of our lead practitioners here. I also partner with R&D to incorporate some of that stuff into our new platform launches and product direction. I help with the product transparency through third-party certifications and disclosures, and so I'm speaking with you all today. I also support our ESG reporting and stakeholder engagement, and then above all, always partner with our sales to make sure that we're providing them with the best resources for them to be out in the field in the marketplace and engage with our A&D community. A little bit about Mohawk. These are some of the brands that exist under Mohawk Industries. Mohawk Industries is kind of this giant umbrella company over all of these different brands in the flooring industry. We're actually celebrating 100 years of Mohawk this year in 2020. So we've grown a lot in the last 100 years. And being a global company means we operate in a lot of global communities, and it provides us a lot of opportunities and obligations to do right by those communities. So we're doing our best to be a leader in sustainability and innovation in the flooring industry. So in general, at Mohawk, we kind of think about our sustainability program within 5 pillars. For this presentation, we'll kind of talk about the first one, which is product transparency, but we'll definitely see overlap into the other 4 as we go along. A little bit about Mohawk's journey. Really the last 10 years has been this journey towards disclosure all the way to this effort to really do better in our communities. So we started in 2012 with Declare. We chose the Declare program because it allows for us to give complete transparency of our material health to our customers versus other products in the market that you take your list of ingredients, you send it off, it goes kind of into the black box, and then out from that you get just a certificate of health. And we really wanted to be sure that we give as much information as transparent as possible to our customers. So we quickly ramped up to cover hundreds of products with Declare labels. And then fast forward 2016, we took a stab at the Living Building Challenge with what we call our Light Lab built in Dalton, Georgia. It kind of gave us an insight as to what architects and designers are, what they go through to achieve the Living Building Challenge and how they choose qualifying products. So from those lessons learned, we saw that a living product challenge went beyond any kind of multi-attribute framework in the market, and then also had that critical piece for us, which was the added social co-benefits of hand printing, which Ren kind of talked on, and I'll touch on how we've done that in a little bit. And then since 2017, we've certified 6 flooring platforms. This is a huge accomplishment for us and has been really well received in the market. All of these products are not only beautiful, but they're sustainable. So it's been, a really good success. And then kind of overall, we see the evolution of the market to look at more holistic and transparent frameworks that benefit outside of our manufacturing walls to create those net positive impacts in our communities. So that's really where we see the direction of our sustainability program going in the next 10 years. So across the multiple business units and our different types of flooring categories, we ensure that all of our products comply with the requirements of different programs in the marketplace. These certifications cover a wide range of testing from VOC emissions, recycled content, transparency information, and a bunch of other stuff. These also contribute towards meeting our customers' green building goals. So not only do we meet the certifications for our own transparency purposes, but also help our customers with their certifications for their buildings as well. So Mohawk leads the flooring industry with the most LPC certifications, Red List Free flooring products, HPDs, EPDs, and Declare labels. We have over 500 Red List Free products with Declare labels, and we've actually certified the first LPC pedal certified flooring product, which was our lichen. So we've kind of changed the conversation around multi-attribute certifications through our large efforts with LPC. So this is, we try to ensure that our transparency documentation is easily accessible. So besides being publicly available on our commercial site, we can also find our listings in the transparency catalog. We've worked closely with Sustainable Minds to ensure that all of this is accurate and up to date. And they've recently included our living products. It's kind of highlighted here in this little call out box. So we're excited about that. So we believe in handprints over footprints. This has kind of become our motto. We have a lot of different flooring products that meet Living Product Challenge pedal certification and that have a positive impact on the people and the environment. And that's kind of our driving force. So with that, this is our lichen collection. It was designed by Jason McLennan, who is also the founder of Living Product Challenge, and his team at McLennan Design. The lichen collection was the first flooring cover to achieve Living Product Challenge pedal certification in 2017, I'm sorry. And again, this collection was really well received in the market. So it's based on lichen, the mossy stuff that grows on trees and logs. So it's inspired by nature and it looks really beautiful in a space. Plus the collection was net positive water, so it had a positive impact on our environment. So since then, we have actually launched 5 more living product collections. Each beautiful product is a representation of our commitment to really give back more than we take and how we behave as a responsible manufacturer. On the left pivot point, ERT was the first living product hard surface offering, and it's also the first Red List Free ERT in the market. So it's been a huge success. There's not much out there that can compete with it, so it's really cool. And then we also have our Newtopia Matrix collection. So these are carpet tiles, and then our Sunweave collection that comes in broadloom and area rugs. So with so much success, whoops, too far. Let's see. Oh no. Terry, can you help? Okay, we're good. Thank you. So like I said, we had so much success with those platforms, and we really learned a lot from, just taking single collections that we decided to scale it up. So in 2019, we made big leap from just one collection to actually certifying 3 entire platforms. So all of our polyolefin, carpet tile products on NXT, NXT Air, and Matrix with our Color Strand or DuraColor fiber are actually certified under LPC. And all of these products come out of one facility, which is our Glasgow, Virginia plant. So we have dubbed that Glasgow plant our living site. We really believe that it embodies our motto to believe in better, because it has this net positive impact for the people and the environment. And those products achieve both net positive water and net positive carbon. So I kind of want to touch on hand printing. The pathway to net positive requires 2 steps with continuous improvement. The first is to reduce your footprint generated by product manufacturing. This is traditionally known, those impacts is known as your footprint. And in ILFI, introduced this concept of hand printing. So the second step is to create this hand printing or offset, one that is greater than your footprint. So, and handprints can be in the form of community engagement, habitat protection, global emissions reductions, or anything else you can come up with. So we'll kind of talk about a couple of the pathways that Mohawk has created. So this is on the projects that achieve net positive energy. We're placing 10 smart flowers in underserved communities with STEM education programs. If you haven't seen our smart flowers, they're really cool. They're these petal shaped, as in the picture, solar panels that generate actually 40% more energy than static panels as they move with the sun, kind of like a flower. So these provide energy savings of over 3 million kilowatts, which is equivalent to power over 300 homes for a year. So definitely significant contribution here. And the reason why is that they not only generate the environmentally friendly electricity, in terms of renewable energy, but it also creates those handprints by engaging with these organizations, which reduces their utility bills, their energy costs, which allow them to then allocate those resources to other opportunities to really further their own missions. And that's kind of the ripple effect that we see from our initiatives. Here's kind of a picture of the kids with a solar flower. You can see their little hands.
That's cute.
And then where we've achieved net positive carbon, this really means that it goes beyond carbon neutral manufacturing to actually offsetting the embodied carbon, not only to 0, but actually we offset it by 105%. So beyond just net neutral. So we're really proud of those initiatives that we've done, and we've really done that through habitat protection and conservation of forests. And then where we've achieved net positive water, it's been really successful as we've partnered with historically Black colleges and universities in our region to retrofit their dormitories with low flow fixtures. So again, this is offsetting by 105%, way beyond just neutral offsetting. And we do this, we've been really successful with this. You can see some of the 4 colleges in our region here in Georgia that, we have other colleges calling us asking when we're going to put in more shower heads. So it's really been successful. So as I kind of wrap up here, there's been a lot of things that we have learned as you go from, just a couple declare labels for a couple products to actually scaling up to having holistic LPC certifications for an entire platform that, at different facilities. So the first is really to become more transparent externally. We had to build systems and relationships with our manufacturing facilities. So the certifications really demanded and resulted in that better collaboration with not only our processes, but also just the people in the manufacturing sites. We know them by name now. I can call them up on the phone and talk. But also it's helped to evaluate those incoming materials for red list chemicals. So evaluating when they come in the door and when we start the partnership with the supplier, rather than trying to come up with something down the line. It's also helped to create initiatives that reduce our footprint and increase our manufacturing efficiencies, which help with our reducing footprint and our hand printing activities. The second is to declare and living product certifications. It really requires a significant engagement with our suppliers to request the disclosure of chemicals. I mean, it's typically months of communication. I think Brett kind of talked on this a little bit, but it can be a challenge but it's not impossible to protect proprietary information. There are different pathways from just having the supplier send information directly to our assessor and cut out the middleman for us, so we don't even see the information except for where it shows up already on the declare label. There are ways to get around that. But really, we have to engage with those suppliers when learning at the beginning to ensure that they'll be forthcoming with the information, when we ask it when we're ready to do those certifications. The other thing is with community partnerships, it can take a little more effort than simply just buying offsets and writing a check, but it has been probably the biggest key to our success with Living Product Challenge, in telling those stories and really doing more good outside of the four walls of our manufacturing. And then lastly, kind of lesson learned for my fellow manufacturers: walk, jog, then run. Start disclosing what information you already have. You can find that there are many transparency programs, including those by ILFI, that can give legitimacy to this information. And then start to engage with suppliers and your own manufacturing facilities to collect the information that you're missing. And listen to the A&D community and industry groups to see what transparency is relevant. So don't go down, months and months of doing one kind of transparency when maybe your industry is demanding a different kind. And then lastly, to run, which is kind of the speed that Mohawk's getting to on certain platforms, is expand to those multi-attribute frameworks. So go beyond just disclosing one metric and finding those platforms that can really create a holistic story. So that kind of goes into my last slide, what we see for the future. That move away from just single attribute disclosures, whether that's recycled content, material health, embodied carbon is the big one, or regional materials, and shifting the focus to balance all aspects of sustainability and not sacrificing one to tell, not sacrificing others to tell one good story. Also, looking, I think I mentioned before, looking beyond just your four walls of your manufacturing facility or just your company's physical footprint, and really looking at how the products in your supply chain affect human health and community well-being. So not just for the end consumer, not just for the workers in your manufacturing facilities, but also looking at those fence line communities where your raw materials are extracted and how that has an impact on the health and community. We learned transparency is good business. Transparency really allows our customers to make their own purchasing decisions based on what aspects of sustainability are most important to them. It also kind of tells how they can meet their own project goals, whether they're, green building, whether it's their personal health struggles or, lead. And then lastly, life cycle thinking. We're seeing this shift, again, away from just looking at how the product does when you put it, in our case, flooring, when you put it down on the floor. It's also looking at your supply chain of how the materials got there, and then what happens to that product at the end of its life. So really, for Mohawk, this is becoming engaging at the product development phase. So rather trying to reverse engineer a product that's already in the market, but starting, how do we create a better product from the start? So with that, that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions or reach out, but I'll hand it back to Terry.
Thank you, Nicole. That is a fantastic story. And for those of you who are exiting now, we are at the top of our hour. There is a survey that we've asked you to respond to if you have time, and you can leave questions or comments for any of the presenters and for me as well. So I'll just take 1 minute to show you what's new in the Transparency Catalog as of today. Last week, we introduced our new optimization credit filter within the rating systems filter. So now when you're looking for optimized products with optimized disclosures or optimized products, you're able to click on any one of these optimization filters and find brands and products. So the Living Product Challenge meets the optimization credits for both LEED and WELL. So when you click on any of those material optimized credits, you're going to get every building product manufacturer across every master format division who has Living Product Challenge certified products. Yesterday, we pushed yet another set of filters that allow you to filter by disclosure type. So depending upon the task that you're trying to get done, or the way you think about your task, if you're looking to select and specify products that will contribute towards credits, you may be filtering by credit contribution, or you may be filtering by manufacturers and disclosure types because you happen to prefer a particular type of disclosure. And again, here's the Living Product Challenge filter. And what this screenshot shows is that using the filtering and search tools in the transparency catalog, you can pick a manufacturer, you can pick a disclosure type, you can pick rating systems, you can pick all of those in any order to filter down to just the brands and the products that you're looking for. We are out of time, and in the spirit of staying on time, I'm going to thank everybody for coming today, and I encourage you to visit the Transparency Catalog. It's free to use. There's no login. Try out the new filters. Let us know what you think. Give us a call or send us an email. We do demos for manufacturing organizations as well as AEC firms who are looking to dramatically reduce the time that they spend doing manufacturer and product research, and being able to feel confident that you're finding every single building product manufacturer in North America investing in every kind of transparency, EPDs, and all the material ingredient disclosure programs accepted by the rating systems. They are all in the transparency catalog. And manufacturers, definitely reach out to us, and we're happy to tell you about the value of adding your products to the transparency catalog. Your disclosures might be in the catalog, but people specify products, not disclosures. So we're happy to talk to you more about the value of helping your products get found in this platform. Anyway, thanks, Ren, Nicole, and Brett. Really informative and interesting content, and thank you for your time. Everyone, have a great day.